What's good, y'all? My name is William Rhodes, and today I'm going to be giving a lecture over velocity in physics. So right here, we have the lecture outline, and today we're going to be going over the introduction to velocity, speed versus velocity, and what's the difference between the two, units of velocity, average velocity, instantaneous velocity, and velocity and acceleration. So velocity is the speed of a person or an object in a given direction. By considering both the speed and direction of an object, we gain a comprehensive understanding of its travels through space and time. Combined with acceleration, it allows us to predict and describe the future motion of an object. So right here we have the velocity formula. So you would use the change in position or displacement divided by change in time. Speed versus velocity. What's the difference? Speed is a scalar quantity that refers only to the magnitude of motion. Velocity, however, is a vector quantity that includes magnitude and direction. So right here we have the units of velocity. You have meters per second, kilometers per hour, miles per hour, and feet per second. These units are specific to any given problem or the situation. For example, when talking about cars, you're more likely to hear miles per hour rather than feet per second because it's just more common. Right here, we're going to talk about converting units. So we have converting meters per second to kilometers per hour. As you can see, the conversion factor is 1 meter per second is equal to 3.6 kilometers an hour. Then we have converting kilometers per hour to meters per second. That conversion factor is 1 kilometer an hour, is equal to 13.6 meters per second. Then we have converting miles per hour to meters per second. The conversion factor is 1 miles per hour is equal to 0.44704 meters per second. Then we have converting from meters per second to feet per second. The conversion factor would be 1 meter per second is equal to 3.28084 feet per second. Lastly, we have converting from feet per second to meters per second. The conversion factor would be 1 feet per second is equal to 0.3048 meters a second. Then we are going to go over average velocity. Average velocity is the measure of the overall rate of change in an object's position over a specific time interval. So right here we have the formula for average velocity, which is displacement divided by time elapsed. We also have an example right under that. So a train travels from point A to point B in 4 hours. The distance between A and B is 160 kilometers. Calculate the average velocity of the car during this journey. So we have the average velocity, which is equal to 160 kilometers divided by 4 hours. So you would just plug those values into that formula from the top. And as you can see, we have an average velocity of 40 kilometers an hour. Instantaneous velocity. Instantaneous velocity is the velocity of a person or object at a specific point in time. If you look at our graph right here, if you go along the x-axis, you see at 1 second, and then you look at the y-axis, they were moved 5 meters at that specific time. And you can use that for any point in time on that graph to figure out how fast they were going. Velocity and acceleration. Acceleration is the rate of change in velocity. Right under that, we have the formula. So Average acceleration is equals to change of velocity divided by time elapsed. We have another example right here. A car accelerates from rest to a speed of 20 meters a second in a time span of 5 seconds. Calculate the average acceleration of a car during this time. So we have the average acceleration. You would use the final velocity minus the initial velocity divided by time. So to solve this equation, the average acceleration, you would do 20 meters a second minus 0 meters a second divided by 5 seconds. And as you can see at the bottom, you get 4 meters a second squared. So in conclusion, or the key points of this whole lecture, we have velocity is the speed of a person or object in a given direction. Velocity is a vector quantity that includes magnitude and direction. The units of velocity are meters a second, kilometers an hour, miles per hour, and feet per second. These units of velocity can also change depending on what the problem is and what you are measuring. We have average velocity, which is equal to displacement divided by time elapsed. Instantaneous velocity, which is the velocity of a person or an object. Excuse me, their throat got a little dry. So, like I was saying, we have the average velocity, which is displacement divided by time elapsed. Instantaneous velocity is the velocity of a person or an object at a specific point in time. Acceleration is the rate of change in velocity. Thank you for your time.